What if I told you that one of the most successful minority groups in America is also one of the most reluctant to seek help for mental health issues? Asian Americans are often seen as a model minority, high-achieving, successful, problem-free, but behind the facade lies a mental health crisis that has been hidden in plain sight. Hi, my name is Kenny Wynn, and I'm here to examine the relationship between Asian Americans and mental health, examining why these communities face challenges and how we can face them. Let's start with the numbers that reveal the scope of this hidden crisis. According to the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, while Asian Americans have lower overall suicide rates than non-Hispanic whites, specific subgroups tell a different story. A study published in the National Center for Biotechnology Information found that 70% of Southeast Asian refugees receiving mental health care were diagnosed with PTSD. But here's what's really concerning. Research from the UCLA Health shows dramatic variation within Asian American communities. 33% of Korean American adults experience symptoms of depression, while only 16% of Chinese Americans report similar symptoms. To add on top of this, during the COVID-19 pandemic, about 1/3 of Asian and Asian American adults, that's 32%, reported psychological distress according to a study in the National Library of Medicine. These statistics reveal something crucial. Asian Americans aren't immune to mental health challenges. They're just less likely to talk about them or seek help. So, you might be asking, why don't Asian Americans seek mental health treatment? The answer lies deep within the cultural values and systemic barriers. Research published in the National Center for Biotechnology Information identifies several key factors. Social stigma, shame, and the concept of saving face often prevents Asians from seeking behavioral health care. There's also a tendency for Asian patients to express psychological distress as physical complaints rather than emotional ones. This means depression might be described as headaches or fatigues, making proper diagnosis more difficult. Cultural barriers compound these issues as well. According to the Medical News Today, a study found stigmas that associate mental illness with disabilities are the largest barriers to Asian Americans accessing mental health care. Studies published in the Psychiatric Services show that Asians who are significantly less likely than whites to access mental health care treatment even when they perceive a need for help. Dr. Gilbert Lee from the UCLA explains another barrier.
A lot of the extension clinics are not located within Asian communities, making mental health access and treatment poor across the board. But perhaps the most significant barrier is cultural. Many Asian cultures emphasize collective harmony, family honor, and personal strength. Admitting to mental health struggles can be seen as bringing shame to the entire family.
To understand the real impact of these barriers, I spoke with people from the Asian American community to see their experiences from their own perspective.
I think mental health isn't really talked about as often around me, so I don't have much of an opinion about it. I do think that mental health is a thing that people need to focus on in their daily lives though.
I think mental health is a big problem, especially to the younger generation, because we young people really don't talk about our mental health as much as we should be.
As of right now, obviously it's something I shouldn't neglect, but it's there, just in the background of anything. Something I keep an eye on, but it's not really something I'm actively trying to make fix at the moment.
My family doesn't see mental health as a thing that is necessary to talk about. They come from a period which wasn't as big as of it right now. I don't blame them too often, but it does come to the point where I feel like they don't take it as serious.
They don't really talk about it as much as they should be, because like we usually overcome our own like mental issues ourselves when it comes to our mental health problems. So
I tie that due to that my family's culture and being very more headstrong, or like, just overthinking or trying to be better. I don't know, it's almost like a taboo in a sense. With my family, they kind of just dismiss whatever I'm feeling and see it as a neglect to my responsibilities, if anything.
Actually, I do think my family will. I do believe if I have a chance to just come out and talk to them, they will understand me. They still are caring people, just not people that open minds as I am.
maybe one day, they'll probably like find a way to start talking about it. I think they really should start talking about mental health throughout the whole family, to let them know about their problems.
Probably not. They might, at least at some point, they're probably gonna be more understanding about it. But, you can't teach an old dog new tricks at this point. So it's more or less them kind of accepting what I go through. And they could try, but how they are now, they have definitely eased up a bit, but they're still pretty headstrong on their beliefs, and they tend to push that on me whenever the opportunity arises. So.
Like I said, my family come from a time where it would be more traditional for a female to do all the housework. What I mean by that is the fact that they expect things like cooking and cleaning, things like know how to sew became things I started to dislike because they would pressure me into knowing how to do so.
I feel like when it comes to how good I do academically, I feel like I get pressured pretty a lot, and it makes me feel scared to fail anything.
These personal accounts highlight how cultural values, while providing strength and resilience, can also create barriers to seek help when most needed. Recognizing these challenges, mental health professionals and community organizations are developing culturally sensitive approaches to care. Research published in the Contemporary Family Therapy identifies several key improvements needed: building trust between therapists and aging patients, increasing cultural understanding among mental health providers, overcoming language barriers, and improving access to resources. Some effective strategies include: first, integrating your family members into care, recognizing the collective nature of aging culture. Second, using culturally familiar concepts, for example, explaining depression as an imbalanced energy rather than a chemical imbalance. Third, training your mental health providers, such as things like video fraternity and face saving, could help them understand their cultural differences. Change is happening, slowly but surely. Younger generation of Asian Americans are more open to discussing mental health, often serving as a bridge between traditional cultural values and modern mental awareness. Community organizations are creating safe spaces for these conversations. Support groups specifically for Asian Americans allow people to discuss mental health challenges without fear or cultural judgment. Mental health professionals are also adapting their approaches. Some therapists are now incorporating in medication, traditional healing practices, and family-centered therapies modeled that honor Asian cultural values while addressing mental health needs. As I researched this topic, I realized that mental health in Asian American communities isn't just about individual struggles. It's about navigating the complex intersection of cultural identity, family expectation, and personal well-being. The solution isn't to abandon cultural values, but to evolve them. We can maintain respect for family, honor academic achievement, and preserve cultural tradition while also prioritizing mental health. Breaking the silence starts with a conversation like this one. It creates where we create spaces where Asian Americans can seek help without shame, where mental health professionals understand cultural nuance, and where families can support their loved ones' mental well-being. For resources and support, check the description below. Together, we can break the silence and build healthier communities. Thank you for watching. Bye!